Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Easy Explanation. In this video tutorial, we'll be learning about the concept of object and member access in C++. We already know that objects are nothing but instances of the class and classes are nothing but blueprint for creating objects. Now, in order to understand this concept of object and member access in C++, we'll be understanding the concept through a demo program or through a sample program. So C++ program to understand the concept of objects and data member access. So has include IOStream using namespace std. Let us create a class called as a employee and in order to understand this concept, let us make all the attributes as a public attributes. So string name and then double salary. So by doing so, we have created a class called as a employee, and the class have two attributes, public attribute. One is name, which is string data type, and salary, which is double data type. So when the class is defined, no memory is allocated for that particular class. It just act as a blueprint. Now, in order to create an actual object, employee object, what we'll do is int main. Let us create an object for class employee. So employee obj1. So by doing so, what we are doing is we are creating an object obj1. So here obj1 is variable or instance of class employee. So whenever an object is created, the actual memory is allocated for that particular object. So what happens in background is, or what our compiler does is, for this class obj1, it creates a separate memory location for that particular object obj1, and the object obj1 will have name and salary. Whenever we create another object, then the separate memory will be allocated for that particular object also. Let us say if we are creating employee obj2, then we have created two objects, one is object 1 and another is object 2. Then the separate memory is allocated for that particular object also, so obj2, and it will also have its own data member, which is name, and another is salary. Now if you are assigning some values to its data member, something like this, obj1 dot name and obj1 dot salary is equals to 10,000. Let us say, you can see we have used the dot operator in order to access the data member of that particular object. So you can see here obj1 have two data member, name and salary. If you need to access the name, you will have to use the dot operator. So obj1 dot name represents the name related to that particular object 1, and if you are using obj1 dot salary, then it returns the copy or returns the value of the salary related to that particular object obj1. If you are accessing the name, if you want to access the name of object 2, then what you have to do is obj2 dot, then you have to use this name. If you want to access the salary of object 2, then you have to do obj2 dot salary. In this way, by using the dot operator, you can access the data members or the member related to that particular object. Now since we have assigned the value of name and salary related to object 1, it means what? We have initialized the object 1. So this process of assigning the value is nothing but initialization of object 1 is done. You have assigned the value of name and salary related to particular object 1. So now the name of a person is Ram and the salary is, let us say, 10,000. Now let us perform the initialization for object 2 also. Initialization of obj2. Now obj2 dot name means we are accessing the name related to object 2. Let us say it is Cheetah. obj2 dot salary is equals to 15,000, let us say, and return 0. So here we have created two objects, obj1 and obj2. So each of these objects would have their own copy of the data members. So obj1 have their own copy of data members, name and salary, and obj2 have their own copy of a data members, which is the name and salary. So if you need to access the data, now since we have initialized the value, if you need to access this thing, then what you can do is cout name is to, if you need to access the value, then what you can do is obj1 dot name and salary is equals to obj1 dot salary. So when I'll do obj1 dot name, what we are doing is we are referring the name of object 1, and if you are writing obj1 dot salary, what we are doing is we are referring to the salary value of object 1. We can do this, we can repeat the same process for object 2 also. Object 2 dot name and object 2 dot salary. So by using the dot operator, you can access the data member or the member function related to that particular object. So if you run this code, since all the data members are defined as a public, we are able to access it from the main function from outside of the class. See, so just to demonstrate this concept, yeah, I've made all the data members as a public over here. Now g++ demo dot cpp and dot slash a dot out. So you can see, since we have called, so line number 15 and line number 20 has printed this output, something like name is equals to obj1. obj1 dot name means we are referring to the name attributes of object 1, which is nothing but Ram, and obj1 dot salary means we are referring to the salary attributes of object 1, which is nothing but 10,000. Similar process repeats for the object 2, and we'll get the output something like this. So now in concept of any object oriented programming, the main concept is you have to hide the data. So hiding the data is the main concern for any object oriented programming language. So in order to hide the data related to particular object, what we'll do is we'll make all the data members as private, and if you need to access those private data member, we'll be accessing it through the public methods. So never make the data members as a public attribute. So what we'll do is we'll make all this data member as a first private. Now since we have understood the concept, I will making this data members as a private. I know to access those data member, what we'll do is we'll define some public method. Now public void set name string n and name is equals to n and void set so salary is equals to sal. Now instead of directly access the private data member, what we will do is we will be accessing the data members through the methods, public method. So I will be deleting all these contents, and now obj1 dot will be calling the set name method to set the name indirectly. So indirectly we are accessing the data members. So obj1 dot set salary 10,000. Now Now we'll repeat the same process for object 2 also. obj2 dot set name Sita and obj2 dot set salary, this is 15,000. Now the initialization process for the object is done. We are initializing the object through set name and set salary method. If you need to display the value of name and salary related to this object 1 and object 2, then what we'll do is we'll define a method called as a display, and this method will simply display the name and salary related to that particular object. Now I will write something like this: cout name is to name and salary is to something like rupees salary and in L. So what we'll do is I will be calling this method obj1.display with reference to object 1. Now see, in line number 24 I'm calling this method display with reference to object 1. So when I'll call this method, so actual reference of the object 1 is also passed. So when I'll display the line cout name is equals to name, so what it does is we are referring to the name with reference to object 1. Since display method is has been called with reference to object 1, so the name will be nothing but a name related to that particular object 1. And the another part salary, so since we are calling the display method with reference to object 1, so the salary of object 1 will be displayed. Now we'll repeat the same process for object 2 also. So obj2 dot display. Now since we are calling the display method with reference to object 2, so all the attributes like name and salary of object 2 will be displayed when the method display is called. So in this way we can use the dot operator to access the data member as well as the member function of a class. Now if I run this code, we'll get the same output over here. See, so Ram, so the first line prints the attributes related to object 1 and second line prints the attribute related to the object 2. So in this way we can understand the concept of objects and data member access in C++. So the points that you need to remember regarding this concept is, so we need to access, or we can access the public member of a class from outside of the class by using the dot operator, or we can access the any member of a class by using object by using the dot operator. And one more thing that we need to remember is always define the data member of a class as a private attributes, and if you need to access the data member, please access it through the public methods. So in this way you can understand this concept. If you have any question or queries regarding this concept, please let us know in the comment section. Now let us try to let us discuss some of the multiple choice questions related to this concept. So object and member access in a classes. Which operator is used to access the data member and member function of an object in C++? So the answer is dot operator. What is the purpose of member function in C++? To perform the operation on data member. So we'll be using the member function in order to perform operation on the data members. So so that is answer C will be the correct answer, to perform the operation on data member. What is the purpose of member access specifier in C++? To control the accessibility of data member and member function. I have discussed about this concept in detail in topic in the video titled access specifier in C++. If you do not have any idea about that, please visit that topic also. The second is, another question is, which of the following statement correctly access the data member age of an object person? So you can access the attributes age of object person by using person.age. So person.age is the correct answer over here. What is the term used to describe the process of hiding the internal implementation detail